Welcome back. You're still watching World Insight with me, Tian Wei. Moving on to the latest in Guinea. Guinea's main opposition leader says he and his party are open to taking part in a political transition following Sunday's coup. Guinea's military leaders have tightened their grip on power after overthrowing president. The 93-year-old remains in detention. 80 political prisoners detained by the earlier government were released on Tuesday. The military takeover has been condemned by the Guinea's partners, other countries and international organizations, including the United Nations, the African Union, and the Economic Community of West African States. So how will the country move forward? Let's ask our panelists. And joining us on the latest in that African country, we have in Nigeria, Igwigwi, who is the policy advisor from Development Reimagined. And also in Beijing, we have Professor He Wenping once again from the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. So, Professor He, what is your understanding of the latest and the nature of it?
Well, honestly speaking, I wasn't that surprised to hear another military coup happening in another Western African countries, because just last year, even there was twice a military coup happening in the Mali, so not far from this Guinea. So actually, this shows another research. This military coup coming back, because during like last century, 1970, 1980, there were quite frequently those military coups happening.
And what about for you, Mr. Igwigwu? Were you surprised by what's happening? And what do you think from the neighboring countries' perspective can be done now?
Yeah, well, I would say it was not really surprising given Guinea's own history. Recall there was a coup in 1984 that removed the Sékou Touré, who was the first president after independence in 1958 from France. And then he stayed, and then that coup was done by Lassana Conte. He stayed in power till 2004, and then was 2008 rather, and then was removed. You know, after he died, his government was removed via another coup again, and then was seen. Then we saw the first election that brought Alpha Conde to office, and he did not even, transition power to another government. He was also removed by a coup. So it shows that Guinea as a country has never really had that democratic, practice as the way power is, transitions from one person, to the other. And if you look at the internal issues in the country, the economic situation is really poor. About $15 billion GDP, which is less than Yemen, which is a war-torn country. So it gives you an idea of how dire the economic situation is. And then even the president's own policies might have set him up for this situation we're seeing today in Guinea.
There's a lot of things going on, not only in the country's politics and the coup, but also, foreign investors' interest in that country and how the rest of its neighbors are going to see its future with Guinea. Professor He, what is your take about those aspects of what's going on all at the same time?
Lots of observers and also a lot of investors now to focus on this, the resources issue, because Guinea, even though it's quite poor, like even poorer than the Yemen, the country in war, just like our Nigerian colleagues just mentioned, but it is very rich in resources, especially those metal things.
So what does that mean for foreign investors?
Yeah, foreign investment now worry about what's going to be to those investors already there or in the future, all those contracts, can they be guaranteed? But now I heard those voice coming from those military coup leader. They are saying, don't worry, all those investment will be there, will be protected in a very good way. They even encourage all those staff back to your working position. Nothing happened. Just the power change between the military and the president. I think it can be trusted because according to my observation to those previous military coup d'etat in other countries like in Mali, whatever, they somehow is between military and special forces, whatever, with those presidents. So once their conflict has been resolved, and then things moving on.
And of course, China is also investing in that country.
Yeah, we have invested a lot. Even recently, a railway has been just finished.
Right.
So we also invest in those metal, those resources, together even with Singapore, with other countries. Even Australia also there. Even Australia is rich with those metal by themselves, but they still invested more in Guinea because Guinea has a huge potential.
Right. So is there a way for foreign investors and foreign countries to be able to protect their property, Mr. He, Ms. He?
I think now those investors cannot send their own troops to protect their property. Of course, it's beyond the thinking about that way. But we can count on this military, this coup leaders, because they also promised they will back to civilian governance in 18 months.
Let me ask you also, Mr. Guigu, your take. Should their words be trusted? And what about foreign investors' interest? Will this be another example of whether foreign investors will still be able to see much potential on the African continent as a whole?
Yeah, I think the instability, of course, came as a shock to the global market. We saw price of aluminium actually rise to about by a 10-year high. So that shows what the importance of Guinea to the global supply chain of aluminium. When it comes to investment, the current junta would be very open to investment and protecting the investment of multinational corporation because they need the money. There's a practical economic interest in ensuring that investments are protected, in Guinea. So that's why immediately, just after they closed the border, when the coup. After the coup on Sunday, by Monday they were already announcing that harbors are going to be open again, and then all of the mining and all economic activities should go on business as usual. So that immediate, resumption of the economic aspect of the country shows how it's important to, Guinea. Besides, if you look at the scale of investment, particularly the Chinese investment, we're looking at about $15 billion, in the Simandou iron ore deposits that are supposed to build a railway from Simandou to Matakon, which is a new deep water port. These are massive investments that hold a lot of potential, for Guineans. So the government will look at those investments and say, this is going to lead to employment, it's going to lead to the economic development that we are fighting for, they claim to be fighting for. So I see them actually going ahead to, protecting these investments and ensuring that all of that continues.
I see. We're running out of time for the discussion. I'm sure there will be further development on that front. Thank you so much, Ovigui, Guigu, and also He Wenping. Really appreciate your expertise. And that's all the time we have for today. If you'd like to see more, search World Insight or check out our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. I'm Tian Wei. On behalf of the team, thanks for watching.